online. How I hope you're having a great day, enjoying some of the nice, warm/cool weather that's out there. We are so glad that you're here to join us, and we have an exciting show tonight. My name is Cheryl Duig, and I am one of the hosts here on GMIHub Online. And tonight we're going to be talking about creating for a cause. We have some great panelists that are with us, but before we introduce the panelists, I want to introduce you to my co-host, Dale Borland. Dale.
Thank you, Cheryl. It is so good to be here this evening. Folks, this is going to be an awesome show. You don't want to miss it. But let's get on to other things. The GMI Hub Online is here for you, and we just want to thank you so much for viewing and checking us out. And if it's your first time visiting, hit the subscription button. Let us know that you want to be involved in what we're doing, and give us a thumbs up and ring that notification bell, and that way you'll be notified the next time we post a video. Now, I just want to let you one thing that's really just important right now that you know about the GMIHub.ca. It's the website, GMIHub.ca. And on there are so many things for you to check out. But one thing I want you to really think about is joining the community. And that is just dropping your email in for us, and then we can be there for you as a community to give back. Really, that's what we're here for. If you are an artist, you're a producer, or you have an event coming up that you want us to talk about, we will put it in our community outreach. Every week we do a mail out, and it's something that you can be a part of. We want to promote what you're doing so we as a community can help you and bless you. So I want to thank you so much for joining us as we talk about cause. Why we like it's just, this conversation is something you got to just check it out. It's going to be amazing. We've got two amazing people.
We do.
Don't we?
We do. And I'm going to introduce them right now. I love the fact that the two of them they're in two different provinces here in Canada, but yet they're in one mind and one spirit, which is really, really awesome. From Manitoba, Winnipeg, Manitoba, we have Robert Wilson, but also known as Fresh IE. Fresh is he's a Canadian producer. He's a rapper. He's a songwriter. He's done history. Like, he's more known for, in 2003, creating history in that he was the first Canadian to get a Grammy Award. But he's a multi-award winning producer and songwriter. He's created over 400 songs. And but beyond that, he has a ministry called Edify, which is educating, developing, and I think it's inspiring youth. I think I said that right. I hope I said that right. He has a passion for youth as one of his causes, and we're going to hear a little bit more about that and some of the other causes that are near and dear to his heart. But with him, we also have 18Tea, and 18Tea is actually hailing from Halifax, Nova Scotia, I believe. And again, another multi-award winning artist in the rap and hip hop, also with a passion for youth and other causes as well. And we're going to hear about that. So without further ado, let's bring these guys on. Welcome Fresh and welcome 180.
Yes, thank you guys for joining us today. We are so blessed to
nice to be here.
Yeah, there's so much that you have in common, yet there is a lot that you may do that are different from each other. So why don't we talk a little bit about the differences, especially since Fresh, you've been doing this thing for a few decades, and you've had a history with the community, and not that 180 hasn't been, but there's the current music styles changed in the last 30 years, and you've been in that journey, Fresh, from the beginning. So how is your ministry differ from what 180 is doing? Let's talk about maybe what you're doing in your ministry with you.
I think our ministries are very much alike. It's just the time. We all had our journeys, coming to faith and going through the valleys and God bringing us out at different times, and then our paths cross, at the right time, and we connected, not knowing that we even have history with our families, and there was always this connection somewhere that we're definitely meant to connect down the road. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think in terms of our mission and what we're doing, I think we're somewhat in the same place in terms of using our music as a tool, and not just for artistry, but also to use it to bring healing and to bring ultimately to bring people to Christ. You know what I mean? So that's always been my focus, is using my music as a tool. Every album I've done has been like a fishing rod. Like in order to catch certain fish, you got to use certain bait. You know what I'm saying? So um, my music has always been like a fishing rod to go out there and reach out to different people in different times and in different demographics. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to unpack that a little bit more because let's hear from 180 first. But we're going to just talk about what kind of things do you do that might be different than what Fresh is doing. Oh, you haven't unmuted your mic. Sorry, but
180, we need to
Similarities.
unmute your mic.
there we go. We got
There
you.
you
We got
Yeah, sorry
Right.
about that. You got me now?
Yeah, you're
you.
good.
We
Can
Yeah.
you
can
hear
hear
me?
you.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah. I'm with Fresh and where I see a lot of similarities between us. Like, I mean, that's big bro to me. So I watch a lot of what he does. You know what I mean? I do believe that nothing's new under the sun, man. So I'm just trying to. I saw that my brother knew or was able to constantly be adapting, like you said, been around a long time doing this and impacting people, right? Like I'm not really. I don't care about the years part, you know what I mean? Because I think that from for what we do, that's not the number we're tracking. But if you do look at the number that's paying attention that we're paying attention to, like the lives that he's leading to the Lord, I mean, that differs from every artist. Like it's special, it's powerful. I've been in environments just being on the road as just his little brother, man, seeing that stuff. So, I mean, as far as the differences go, I don't think that it's a difference so much as it's I'm on my way. I'm coming behind you to kind of make sure that the legacy that he leaves doesn't get killed with who he left it with. You know what I mean? And so, like, he's poured a lot into me, and so I'm just trying to make sure I carry it with the proper amount of respect. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it is the same thing. We both just want to see lives saved, man. See people come to Christ because
Yeah.
we know the alternative.
Yeah.
That's
And he's also a lot taller than me too, just so you guys know.
I was trying to leave that alone because we were sitting down. We were sitting down. I was
when Cheryl and I were talking previously, we were just wondering, that at some point your ministries did come together, but for the journey that you had up until this point, I mean, Fresh, you've been working in challenged youth for a while,
Mhm.
and so I think there's a different type of maybe ministry focus now than there was when you. So that's what I was kind of getting after the origin.
It's funny because when like I always come across people in the last probably 3 or 4 years who will come up to me and be like, when I was like 12, I was at your concert and I gave my heart to Jesus. I was like, wait a minute, you're 30 something
you
right
got
now.
kids.
So a lot of the young people that I reached out to who might have given their heart to Jesus are now young adults and they have families. Like my barber is a youth that when I used to youth pastor, she was one of the youth in my youth group, but she's my barber now. Like I'm mentoring her daughter now. You know what I mean? Like she's recording in her daughter's actually on my new album too. So a lot of the young people that were youth when I was going hard, like they're all young adults now. So you know what I mean? So it's
Like what?
three different generations of young people.
Yeah, and that's true. It's been like decades. It's great
Yeah,
to
and
see
to
that.
kind of
And the youth
piggyback on
people
that,
now
just
leading
before. Okay.
amazing.
Sorry about that.
Go
Just to
ahead.
kind of
Good, yeah.
piggyback on what he said, man. Like for me too, like, and I've told this story 1,000 times, but like meeting Fresh was actually a goal of mine when I was actually in the Teen Challenge program. I saw a picture on the cover of a magazine, and I said I had two goals. I was going to perform on the Moncton Wesleyan stage, and I was going to meet Fresh IE, and. And yeah, and the way it kind of came. So like for me, again, like some of those questions are hard for me to answer because my loyalty and respect with him is kind of it's a little strange sometimes. Like I actually genuinely like thank this brother for actually obeying God's word and making the call when he called me because he had no idea that was a desire in my heart that God was about to fill for me. So anyway, we'll get to that, but I just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss the opportunity to share that part about the origin of kind of why I feel our relationship is so tight and I don't mess with it at all. It's because I believe God put it together on purpose because I was praying for it.
And that's awesome. I think that's absolutely awesome. Um, Now, just so I don't lose this, are there other? I know both of you I've seen on your websites. It's about the youth. I know you have a big heart for youth. Are there other, I'll say, causes that are on your heart as well, just so that I don't pigeonhole just the one thing?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead. The the racial issues in our society right now are one that I don't feel like are getting. I don't feel like those issues are being represented well from the faith community in terms of us actually talking about the tough parts of it, you know. And so I've always kind of had a if not me then who attitude about a lot of things, and in this situation or in this season in this time, I just kind of feel like everybody's going to talk about this subject. I think it's important that a black man of faith shares his perspective as well, and so that's a passion for me. It's a very strong passion and issue for me, and it's starting to show up a lot more and more and more in my music as well. So
Okay.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I think
Jeff,
for
have
me, in general, just like it has a lot to do with what Tia said too, in terms of this music, Christian music in Canada itself. We need to. I feel like we need to redefine what worship is in terms of like
mhm,
our industry. Because when you listen to the radio, the Christian radio, and there are some stations that are actually now starting to play a lot of black artists and native artists and Asian artists and all that. But like for the longest time, you barely heard even some of the American brothers and sisters over here, like Kirk Franklin. Some of them that are super big in terms of like their ministries are huge, but yet we don't hear them on the radio. We'll hear like Casting Crowns, or we'll hear Michael W. Smith, or which those are all great artists. Not to take anything away
mhm,
from them, but there's so many different expressions of worship out there for years now, and we don't hear any of that on our stations. So, big up to like 100.3 it is, or one of those stations out there in Barrie, I think it is. There's a few stations that are actually representing all across the board, and they're doing a great job now doing that because there's
mhm,
new music directors but and then of course CHVN here in Winnipeg are huge at starting to really play a lot of my music, and they're starting to play Tia a little bit, and just other different ministries that are actually out. Because I believe, honestly, if us as artists in Canada, not just race wise, but just ministries that are
mhm,
actually out here impacting people, I believe the radio should be supporting us by playing our music so that our ministries can be exposed more, so that we can have a bigger reach to do what we're doing. We're not out here just to do music festivals and win Grammy Awards. We're actually out here with a mission. We're going into neighborhoods and communities that nobody will go to. You know what I'm saying? We're going driving on
mhm.
15 hours on winter roads so that we can win 5 souls for Jesus, and
Right,
or
right, right.
win 500 souls. So I believe as we get the support from the radio, just for the sake of the people to hear the ministry, so that they can, hey, let's bring them to our community so we can do some community development and bring Jesus to the community in a relevant way, so our young people don't need to feel suicidal, or maybe they might say a word to help these young people live another day, because that's what we do. I want to make music that I can say one word. If I can say one word that's going to help a young person live another day,
Done.
then my songs, that's my Grammy award right there. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
mm,
I think the support from the radio stations, and even the support from the local big giant festivals that are around, to have local ministries who might not necessarily get any kind of shine, to give them some opportunities so that they can be exposed and their ministry can go forward as it's doing anyways. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, I think on that too, it's something that we're working on here a lot is kind of talking directly to like the denominations, and to just sharing with them that like, guys, there's no record label really for what we do. You know, the church has to
Right.
be our record label. Like there's people who want to support this and believe in it and want to, but you're how they get the information. Only so many people show up on my Instagram, but they're all going to be in one of your buildings on Sunday morning, and I know you're going to run an information slide at some point. You know, just I
Yeah.
think part talking about how we change what worship sounds like. I think we also have to discuss what missionary work looks like, or how we
Right.
view it. Because when you hear the term missionary, you think I got to raise some money and get on a plane and go
Right.
somewhere.
Go to
But
Africa.
like
Yeah.
I'm right here where we live, fighting, fighting because I
Yeah.
speak that language and I was just there, so I know how badly we need to dig in and help get people out of there. That's our actual
Yeah.
mandate. So
I got an email. No, I got a text 3 days ago that there's a community just 5 hours from here. It's an isolated reserve, and a 9-year-old boy hung himself just 3 days ago. And no one, you don't see that on the news. You don't hear those things on the news. No one knows. No one hears that cry. You know what I'm saying? Only God Himself. And there's so much work to be done. These are missions in our backyard that we need to. These communities don't even have. I've been to a community where there's no running water. They literally have these pans outside their homes, and there's one pipe on the ground that everyone gets their water from. You know what I'm saying? It's in Pagangagum, and I did some ministry there. And when we came out to do our show, there was all these young people with balaclavas on in the front row, and it just smelled like their balaclavas were drenched in gasoline because they're so prone to sniffing gas to escape their living situations. You know what I'm saying? So we went out there and we really had some breakthrough time with them, and there was lots of hugs and cries, and we had some sharing circles, and we just had a really good time of deliverance and just healing and letting God's love flow through us. And God's love flowed through them to us as well. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the times when we go and do missions work in these communities, we get ministered to as well because we're reminded, you know what I mean, how amazing God is. You know what I mean? So I think we're kind of going off topic, but I mean, we're just flowing.
Yeah, we took over, bro. We took over. Sorry about that.
You know what you were doing was expressing your heart about what the things that are passionate of, like that's what's on your heart. And
Yeah.
see, that what's on your heart is what's going to come out in your music.
Amen.
And that's why we wanted
Right.
to touch on that. Like what's in your heart? I
Yeah.
talk feminine. Okay. What's on your heart? What's on your mind? I don't know how to talk a guy talk, but the point being is
I'm with you. I hear that.
what's majorly important to you, because what's important to you is what's going to come out in your songs and in your music, or what you teach others as well. So I know
Right.
that both of you, and you kind of alluded to it, is that when you encounter, like when you go out and you minister and you encounter whoever you encounter, anybody, whether it's youth or adults or anybody, and it breaks my heart to know that a 9-year-old child did that, like a child, a child, my own sons, right, and that
Yeah.
took his own life at such a young age. Like that's heartbreaking. So
Yeah.
really, it's
And
like mission fields right here, like right in our
it
own
is.
backyard. Just drive a few
Yeah.
miles and done. Like we're in the mission field. And so I love the fact that you did bring that up. Now I want to get into a little bit of the creating side, because what I'm hearing is the passion that you have for these issues, for the youth and for those situations that you come across. Or even 180, I think I didn't get a chance for you to say it, but I'm guessing because you said teen missions, that you also went through a hard time as well. So this is also near and dear
Oh
to your
yeah,
heart.
Teen
Because
Challenge.
your own
Yeah,
testimony, is that right?
yeah, absolutely. It's actually the
Why don't we
it's
just
actually
hold
the
on for a second? Let's take this
yeah.
after we do a commercial break. We'll come back because I think that's a great way to start our next segment. Just hang on
Yeah,
for a
no
second.
worries.
GMIHub is accepting new songs for their 2022 Christmas compilation. To find out how to submit your song, go to www.gmihub.ca today. GMIHub Family Christmas Volume 3. Ho, 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 ho.
So 180, let's hear a little bit, because you talked about teen missions, and I get the impression that when I hear teen missions, I hear someone has gone through some kind of a struggle of some sort, and the ministry
Yeah.
of teen champions helped you out. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's called Teen Challenge,
Oh,
and it was
sorry.
started in sorry, it was started in Brooklyn, New York, in 1958 by a pastor there named David Wilkerson, and it's basically it's a ministry to help people overcome addictions, but through faith-based programming. So, you have chapel 5 days a week, and you're being poured into that way. You eat your meals together, you break bread together, and you grow together. You're going through the toughest times of your lives. For me, it was a heavy drug addiction. You're going through these tough, hard times in your life, but you're learning to go through it together and lean on God together, as a community, in the good way, in a good way. So yeah, for me, that program is very instrumental in why and how we're even having this conversation. My faith was restored in it. I believed in God, but that was it. That was about the extent of it. But once you start seeing some really, really broken people in the exact same room as you getting delivered, man, like that'll start that'll start messing with you, and so yeah, that program is huge, and I'm thankful for them and what they do. There's 11 centers in Canada, and I'm gonna give my shameless plug now. But if you're struggling with anything, and you know someone who is, this is a good place for them to go. People get help, but they get more than that. They get a foundation afterwards. And so for me, it was the default system, right? When I struggled, I would fall on my drugs or whatever else. And what the program taught me, because it's so regimented and so structured, it taught me to build a new default system so I could fall on God instead of whatever else was the option, And so yeah, again, I'm passionate about it, but I know that that epidemic's not going away, and it's right here at home. And so just want to make sure I'm here for it, and try to, and like Fresh said, if I can just pull one person out, and get them on that solid rock, I'm good.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, so beautiful. So now I'm going to get to the creative side. Okay, so you
Yeah,
have
let's
these
do that.
passions. You have these passions. You have your talents. How do you harness that passion into your talent? What happens um, how do you get from the passion to the talent to the song or to the rap or whatever it is that you do to kind of express um, or create for the cause? Mhm.
I'm gonna just sit back because I've been waiting years to hear these secrets. Go ahead, bro. Talk to the people.
Well, I think one thing is important is to be connected to the culture that's around you, without being in it but not of it. Like there's a lot of different elements that's not healthy as a believer, but still important to be connected to, and to like for me out here, I'm constantly mentoring people, not just young people but just people in general. I got a guy right now who's very talented, incredibly talented. Just got out of jail. He was in jail for, like, I think it was 17 years of his life. You know what I'm saying? And now, God has put him in my path, and he, God has given him this kind of reverence in my life where, like when we talk, he really listens to what I'm saying to him, because it's like, well, look, man, like all I can do is give you the real about, where God has brought me, and like I don't want you to have the hopes that if you come follow me as I follow him, that you're gonna get a Grammy award or you're gonna have this. But I can tell you one thing, that you'll know who the real Jesus is, and that means through ups and downs, hard times, mistakes, failures, we all have them. So I want him to understand the relationship part of it, not the religion part of it. You know what I'm saying? And he sees that in my life because he's seen the things that I've gone through already. He knows I've come out of some hardships, and and things like that. So being connected to the culture, that's why Paul said, "I become like many men to spread the gospel." And so being a part of that culture, also we know what makes these people tick in the culture. So hip hop is a huge one in what I do, because hip hop is one of the biggest music in the world right now. You know what I'm saying? So, and I've always been connected that way in terms of when I was a little kid. I remember in the projects, I used to, put my little ghetto blaster down and do Michael Jackson, and everybody in the projects would watch from the window and egg me on like, "Oh, Robert, you got it." Like people would watch from their windows, and I was always performing for people since a young kid. So music was always a refuge. So my heart was always connected to that culture. No matter no matter how the times changed, my heart was always connected to the music from my culture. And so when I got saved, it was like, where I took some time off from even listening to hip hop. I didn't want to be, I wasn't looking to be Fresh IE. I was like trying to lose the whole name because my name was Freshy before I was Fresh IE. And that was when I was in the world. And so when I got saved, I said, don't call me Freshy no more. But people kept calling me by my real name, Rob, but I wasn't used to that because I was so used to Freshy. So God gave me a new purpose for the name, which is Fresh IE, which is fresh in eternity. Which I'm a new person. I'm a new creation. Those old things are gone, and all things have become brand new, become fresh. And so that's a big part of who I am in terms of the way I make music. I'll make music not just to find a song that will hit radio. Of course, right now in my career or in my ministry, I should say, um, I'm definitely challenged to create music that will make the airways because I want them to know. I want people to understand that this worship is not based on just a sound. It's a heart. It's a heart issue that's where the worship flows from. And some of the greatest worship is birthed out of suffering. If you look at the Bible, in the middle of the Bible, in Proverbs or in the Psalms, those are some of the greatest worship songs on the planet. And it was out of anguish and suffering where David was crying from when he was singing these songs. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like I relate to that in a sense where when I make a song now, it's like I have this in mind. When I write a song, I have a youth that's suicidal in mind, or I have a young man who got out of prison for murder, and he just wants to have his heart restored and renewed and be forgiven and not be judged for his past. You know what I'm saying? And so I sit down with a murderer and break bread with him and share the love of God with him through my life because you know what I mean. I want to connect with him musically. Music is our connecting point, but there's something greater beyond the music that will bring change into his heart. You know what I'm saying? Because in order for someone like that to really have a breakthrough, they have to have their heart rewired. Their belief system has to change. And when you start meditating on the Word of God, it rewires your heart. Not just reading it, but meditating on it will rewire your heart and it will change your belief system. And that's what I'm seeing when I start walking with people every day, even in my hard times where I don't feel like having people drive around with me or come and sleep in my spare room and all this, um, those are the times where I should just do it anyways because that's the way God has been using me for years. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's
It's
dope.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm kind of on the same lines as him there too. Just from the perspective of, you know, relevance is key. Like making sure that one, you interact with people, and two, that you make sure that you share with them that I'm here because I actually love it. It's really got little to do with the music. It's just that's what I'm really good at. I can't play guitar. I don't, I'm not a vocal singer. I can't do those things, right? But I can make some words rhyme and do it in a way that'll, get your attention. And so I just want to use that gift. But like just on the weekend here, I was in Fredericton and I went to an event, and everybody, oh, okay, well, 180 just won the award last month, and so on. So people are bringing me, these mentors are bringing artists around me, right? Hey, this is so and so, and he's on Spotify, and so. I'm looking at these young guys, and that's all I want now is to pour into them, right? And so, and these weren't Christian rappers or artists or anything like that. Irrelevant to me. But what it was I start talking to them, and as I'm talking to them, I'm asking questions because that's what I do when I'm talking to these young artists. Like, I want to know what the older people or whoever was around them was sharing with them, and so like little things like I asked them, so are you guys all registered with SOCAN, which is a organization that, tracks our royalties and all of that stuff, there. Anyway, so yeah, I asked them that, and I get the deer in the headlight look, right? And I'm looking at it and I'm like, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter at all that you're on Spotify. In fact, I can go take that music if I want to, and I realized that there's a humongous gap in the generations of what we're sharing as far as the information goes too. Like one of the things I respect and appreciate most about Fresh is that I can call him on the phone and say, hey man, I need to make sure I don't make 13 years of mistakes here. What can you tell me? Right? And he will. He'll share that. And so I noticed that, and I've been noticing more and more and more that I'm becoming more passionate, creatively even, about making sure that other people can be creative and keep doing it, And so it's been a lot of constantly talking to these young guys like, hey, get on this, sign up for this. These are free things that will make sure that you can actually do this longer than 2 years, or so you don't have to quit the moment you have a child or whatever else is going to come up in your life that this can't be a hobby anymore, right? So that's kind of creatively, that's kind of keeping me relevant right now too, because they're firing it back at me. Oh, OG, check this out. I haven't been called OG so many times in my life. This gray beard, I'm cutting the whole thing off. I didn't look weird. But I value it. I appreciate it because I know the importance of it for these young guys, right? So yeah, I think being in the culture and being around people, you'll stay creative because it's a creative culture. That's what hip hop was born out of. Let's just create, right?
Mm-hmm. No, that's
Yeah.
I was hearing it. It's funny. Dale and I, before we even came live, and before you guys even called in, we were talking about this. We were talking about I don't know if I can call it the culture of hip hop and rap, and how it's based around being real and authentic. And that if someone is trying to rap and they're rapping about something that they're not immersed in,
We'll catch it.
if they're not rapping based on what they are experiencing, it's almost like it's not, I can't say it's not true rap, but it's not respected rap, if I can call it that.
Very true.
Because people, rapper or no rapper, I guess, can see where the authenticity, and that seems to be really, really core, right? So I guess that's what you're basically saying, is that in the culture, when you get embedded in the culture and you're in the culture, it's easier to communicate about the cause or the situation and express it with the giftings that God's given you, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, see the early form of hip hop, and when I say culture, like it's just like almost like country music. Like there's only a couple of genres that actually have culture with the music. Where like country, you got everyone, they dress they talk a certain way, they dress a certain way, they even eat a certain way. That's how they live. Their country. And then you got hip hop. It's the same thing. We dress a certain way, we eat a certain. Like I mean, of course, being Caribbean and being hip hop is just all we do is eat Caribbean food here. We have cook-ups all the time. You know what I mean? But we love busting curries and like that's all we do all weekend is bust curries and palaus and all that. But but how we eat, how we talk, But like for us as believers, there's the main element for us because there's the four elements of hip hop is MCing, there's b-boys, there's graph artists, and there's DJs. Those are the four elements. But for us, Jesus is the first element of our culture and who we are. And then the rest fall on after that because, we have a fifth element, and that's Jesus. But he automatically becomes the first element in who we are. You know what I'm saying, as believers. And but for the early days of hip hop started because back in the 70s, black people didn't have a voice to speak. They didn't have a political voice. The only time they would be heard politically is if, like the Martin Luther Kings and Malcolm X, and people died in those times because when they stood up, they became too powerful, and they had to take them out. You know what I mean? So hip hop became a way for brothers out in, say, one borough like Brooklyn to put their expression of what's going on in their community on a tape, and the next thing you know, people in Queens or in Harlem or wherever would know what's going on with the brothers over here in Brooklyn. That's what hip hop was about. It was a communicative way to share about, hey, we're, no one's hearing our rights, our landlord, turning off the lights, this and that's going on with this out here, the young people or whatever. Like hip hop has always been about the culture and about what the people are going through. But now Hollywood and the industry has got a hold of it because there's so much money involved, and it's
Yep.
totally like turned to Hollywood. But the foundation, there's always a core of people who are the foundation of the culture. And you're right, if someone comes in and just like sort of just comes and tries to springboard off of that and have overnight success, which happens a lot of the people who are the core of the hip hop, they won't accept them anyways. Even though they might have a big following off of Instagram, but we still don't see them as hip hop because they don't even
Right.
know the forefathers of where hip hop come from. You know what I mean? They don't know the forefathers of hip hop at all. So yeah, it
Yeah,
goes real deep
I
into
think
it.
I think it's important too to recognize the respect for what it was, right? Like for how it started and what it
Yeah,
meant, and I think that it's important for us to use that fifth element to not, because I respect hip hop so much that I don't want to change what it was. I like that it
yeah,
was a message board. I like that it was a soundboard. I like that it was a communication forum because I'm not great in conversation sometimes articulating how I feel about something, but I can sit back here with this pen and give you the whole story in a way that you'll understand it. In fact, not even have questions afterwards, and
yeah,
that's the gift God's given me to kind of, clear my chest and all that, and get stuff off. But I mean, at the same time, um, again, like it's just, it's so important that the respect for it remains. And so I am a soundboard for the community. It's just that it's coming from a faith perspective, right? So if we as young black men are getting slaughtered in the street, I'm still going to talk about it, but it doesn't mean God left us. Here's where we land on it. Please know I'm praying for you. Please know I'm with you. I feel it too. I'm no less you just because I have Jesus. It's just that because I have Jesus, I've got somewhere to turn when this happens. And that's what I want to get to people is like, this stuff is happening. Where do you turn? And I have something for you. And I want to make sure that I'm relevant enough that you'll still hear me when I say it. Because in some cases, whether we want to accept it or not, if pastor or deacon shows up, they're already going to put the wall up and move on. And we're never going to have the conversation, right? Because there are hurts in the community. But from our standpoint, we're speaking a language you already understand. We're just talking about a topic you might not be talking about yet, but that's fine because we're going to talk to you about it in a way that's not, it's not condescending. It's going to be real with you. I'm going to share with you all of my flaws and mistakes and let you know that even as a man of faith, I'm messed up, and I'm going to share that with you and let you know that this is something that's bigger than. But you're only going to get that if the music is authentic. I couldn't make that up because, again, hip hop is a very exposing genre of music, right? Because those who really
hmm
respect where it came from are going to actually dig in. I'm going to Google you. I'm going to look up and see if what you're telling me is legit, right? Because I need to, because somebody's going to hang off of that. Somebody's going to live off of that. Somebody's going to get all. There's people who have determined how they even view the Bible based off of things I've said. Man, that's scary. It's a lot of pressure. But but if my job's just to get them to press play, and I believe my God's big enough that if I get out of the way after I do that, He'll get to work. But I have to have an authentic message in it, and it has to be coming from love right out the gate.
I think that leads to the question. I don't know if I'm stepping a little too soon into this. We're talking about when you're taking a young Christian or a person who's in a young creative individual, that journey that they're going to take and that mentorship that you provide for them. Maybe there's an example you have of some individual that you've worked with in the past that had, you had to get them kickstarted somehow. You had to kind of work with them to get their wrapping up to where they need to be to get the hip hop out and their voice be heard. What's that journey like for you? Think of maybe somebody
Can
you
I
worked
say
with.
something right quick, Fresh, before
Yeah.
you go? on
Go
that
ahead.
one, because I gotta tell the truth on something. I gotta be honest. The first time I flew into Winnipeg to record my first album, this man cut 2 of my verses in the session and told me to start over because I wasn't giving enough energy. So before you try to be all nice and pretty, fresh talking to people, I wanted to make sure that I let you know how you treated me when I came to your city. So go ahead, fresh. Tell the people how you deal with us young artists.
I
Yeah.
love it. He's so real. It's so funny.
Okay. Well, I'll give you one example and this example continues to happen with me and this young man. I won't say his name. He's a good young brother of mine, and he's very talented. I tell these young guys all the time. There's a lot of talented people in the grave. There's a lot of talented people in prison right now. So I mean, what separates your gift from the next man? It has to be the anointing. If the anointing of if your focus isn't Jesus, when you step out the boat, you're gonna sink. So so this young man, he was so ambitious, and sometimes ambition it can lead you the wrong way. Ambition isn't always a healthy thing, you know what I'm saying? So he was very ambitious. He just wanted to hear himself. He wanted to hear himself on a track. He wanted to have an album out. He wanted to follow me and travel and do ministry and stuff. And I told him, if you want to follow me, quit hip hop for a whole year and go submit yourself to your church, and then come back and I'll do an album for you. You know what I'm saying? And I think it kind of crushed him at first, but like sometimes we need that tough love. We don't always need people to be yes men and say yes about everything, that all your ideas and everything you're doing. You need someone who's going to tell you the real. If you got a booger on your nose, I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to let you sit there walking around with a booger on your nose. You know what I'm saying? Like if I got a booger on my nose or my flies down, please tell me. As my brother, please tell me, or grab me a Kleenex or something. Don't let me walk around like that in error. You know what I'm saying? Like tell me the real so I can be right. I don't mind being corrected. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm apt to, you know what I mean? Like I'm quick to listen, and I don't want to be in error when I'm doing what I'm doing. So sometimes we need to sit and be still and know that He's God, and let God form the ministry and the call and the passion that God wants to give you through your music, and not just try and make it up just so, and fake it until you make it. That don't work in ministry. You can't just fake it until you make it. You gotta be endued with power. You got to be filled up and filled with the anointing, or else you're gonna be filled with something else. And when you get out there, there's gonna be some real people who know the Spirit of God, and they're gonna read your mail. You know what I'm saying? So you got to, So, anyways, I called this young man to take a year off, and he did, but he was still tempted. He wanted to make music videos, and he wanted to. And I'm like, no, man, I don't want you to do nothing. Just stay away from hip hop for a year. That's what I did. I stayed away for a year, and then God took me out to put me right back in about a year later. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably one of my examples of grabbing a young man, in terms of the music and the culture, and walking with him.
I think that's a good thing to think about, because I know that Mylon Lefebvre shared a similar story about how he gave it all up and then God called him back to it. It's like a restart.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was, I think, what he needed. And you're right, that some people do need that kind of restart to kind of like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So that's a way that you start to get them in, because you're talking about respecting where it came from, and then if you're teaching people to express themselves in this way, do you also carry them through this journey, or is it using your example, Fresh, your way of saying this is the first step to the being authentic? Get your relationship right with God first.
Yeah.
And when your relationship
Yeah,
is
definitely.
right, and if you have that relationship, then come back and talk to us, because now we're going to write music based on what you know or what you're experiencing with this authentic relationship you have with Christ. Am I reading correctly on this one?
Definitely. I think it's like for example, and the thing is, it differs in different situations. Like there's been some young men who had the opposite. They were theologically sound, they were anointed, but maybe they were unbalanced on the other part, where they were sounding too much like another. Like I could tell what music they were listening to when I hear them recording the verses. Like they'll go in the studio and I'll be like, "Oh, you've been listening to Ti? How'd you know that? I can hear it." You know what I'm saying? Or they'll come out and they'll sound like Lecrae. I'm like, "Oh, you've been listening to Lecrae all week. That's why you sound like that." So it's like it's important to have a good balance. Like some of them might have, the spiritually side, but still you have to have a balance on the other side too. You have to know your voice. You have to, you know what I'm saying? So mentoring is something that it's lifelong, because it could be a different situation for different person, right? Um, yeah. So yeah, it differs for sure.
I'm an example of that with Fresh as well. Like that's kind of my come up story, man. Is that this guy called me, took me on a trip and I had minimal exposure as far as the microphone went, and I remember just thinking to myself like, yo, I think I'm pretty good though. But yeah, like I went in and it was interesting because like he threw me like it was I had to figure some stuff out, but it was a testing ground to see where my heart was, right? Like I flew into this place, I went to this venue, he wasn't even there yet, you know what I mean? And so I'm trying to figure it all out, and then something had happened, and myself and another artist that was with me, that Fresh was mentoring at the time as well, we went out and we knocked out the show, and he comes in the next day and he's like, guys, I'm proud of you, well done. And just that was, feeling comfortable, because we had these conversations leading up to that point where I knew that this whole time, and in that moment I'm realizing, oh, this whole time he's been checking my heart. The whole time, like, and I'm not always a patient person, so I know God loves me for letting me hold on for long enough to not mess that up, because I would have said something stupid. But anyway, I didn't, and the outcome has been, just like, and why I say I'm an example of that, because if he wasn't going to say that he doesn't just send them out and let them go and figure it out, then I'm going to say it, because I've had a long run with this ministry, and it was all launched off of this guy giving me some tools and making sure I had the knowledge and information I needed. But not just that, actually using his gift, talent, and name for me. Like making sure I was on his project so that people were seeing my name and that I was getting those royalties for that, and that, so I'm learning business stuff, or seeing tours be booked and actually, get on them and go, and be a part of it. And just because he's headlining, you don't get treated any less because he's you know what I mean? Like, it was really important for me, and what shaped me now, it was important to have that from him, but it's also equally important for me to not lose it. So like, even now I'm at a place where it's like, yo, whatever I'm doing, where's my big brother? Like, where's Fresh? Like, Fresh, what would you do here? Or what's your thought on this? Or like, I got a new single coming out at the end of the week, and like, he has been guiding me even how to release it properly, like Tia, people need to hear this song. Like, you got to do, here's what we're gonna, so like, that mentoring is ongoing, and like, it's been a solid 10 years for us in terms of him pouring into me, and we're still here. In fact, I still remember one of the things he said to me that first time we were out. I said, he said, all I want, man, is for one of the artists I bring up to call me one day. You remember this, man? All I want is for one of my artists to call me up one day, fly me to where they are, and say, hey, man, you're opening for me, right? So the first show on this tour is August 19th. That was a mission for me. It became, because of all of the stuff that he has poured into me, it was, oh, well, if that's all he wants, shoot, let me work then. Let me work then, because I have the tools now. I can pay that back. Shoot, what's a flight, right? Like, I can do that at the end of the day when it comes down to it, So I just wanted to make sure that he got his flowers on that, and that it didn't get missed in the fact that we're having this conversation as equal artists, because regardless of what he's going to say or what people who listen to the music say or whoever makes those decisions, there's not a lot of equal artists as far as Fresh IE goes. There's a lot of us that are still going because of the godly impact and pouring into that he's done in us. You know what I mean? And so for that, I'm okay with the time I took. I'll take it anyway. I'm big boy. But in this situation, I wasn't going to let that conversation, because I know him, and I felt like he was going to breeze by that, like he's not still changing the world every other day, but he is. And so, yeah, man, I just wanted to make sure your flowers got to you on that one, brother. That's all.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, my brother.
I praise you.
I praise this. I'm seeing more and more this mentorship. Like, it's like mentoree. I'm really seeing this is really awesome. Really awesome. And I know, I'm thinking about everything that you're saying, and I think about some of the other genres of music, other ways of creating, and I think there's a lot of the same mentality. I can appreciate what you both were saying about authenticity, and I love the fact that you said everyone else has four core things when it comes to rap. There's a fifth one, and the
Elements,
fifth
yeah.
one, number one, right? Fifth one is number one, and that number one is not just in hip hop. It should be in country. It should be in Southern gospel. It should be in rock. It should be in whatever the gospel is packaged in. That should be number one. So I love the fact that you said
Hmm.
that. What like I'm guessing though, like through all of this, like creating for a cause, is it easy? Like, does it come easy to you?
Ooh, that's a loaded question, man. Um, Yes and no, but I'm going to lean a little heavier to yes. And I'll tell you why. I don't want to, I don't want to try to come up with some cool story as, oh no, I struggle with it all day. No, I feel like I have words, and God's given me this gift to put them together to say something. And I don't write or rap about anything that's not on my heart. I just don't, and Fresh will tell you, like Mike, I'm probably the most inconsistent, successful artist you're gonna ever see. Like if God's not speaking to me about music for a year, guess what? You don't get an album for two. Because I'm not gonna just go do that. And so I don't struggle with that. If the cause is there, if it's something that has to be spoken on, I will be in my devotions tomorrow morning, like I am every single morning. And if it's supposed to be on my heart, it will be on my heart. And if it's on my heart, I'll give it to you by the end of the day, because it's not coming from me. I feel like it's God saying, "Yo, they're listening, and this is happening. What are you doing? Say something." And so that's really where it comes from. So I'll get out here and do what I got to do. But yeah, I don't force music. I don't force creativity. I don't think that that's a good way to be creative. That's where I'd rather give you something that you may not enjoy, but I know it was really, really me, because at the end of the day, even if you didn't enjoy it so much, you'll respect it, right? I'm on my 6th album. There's no way you liked every song, you know
Right.
but at least you respected it because you knew where it was coming from and what the purpose was behind it and what my plan was to use it for. And also, what inspired it. Because I won't, if God didn't speak to me on it, I won't write it anyway. So, and that's pretty clear because people have waited a fair bit of time for some music. So
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
exactly.
or I'm not, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know how to, I don't know how to end that one, but
I love that, man. It's so
That's it.
Fresh.
I'm
How
sorry.
about you?
Yeah.
yeah.
Does creating become easy
Uh,
for you? Is creating for a cause easy?
um, in a sense, a lot of times it's like turning on a water faucet. A lot of times it's like a clogged toilet. It's like
Ah,
I need the whole
no, really.
explanation, bro. I need
That
the
is
rest of
so
that.
good,
No,
man.
okay,
I
but
gotta write that down.
let me
I gotta write that
elaborate a little bit. Like, okay, so what I mean is, um, like, to be creative, for me, it's heavy at times because a lot of the music that I draw, or a lot of the music that comes out, is songs about what we're going through today, or you know what we were going through at the time when I was making it. In terms of, because I'm like a sponge, I absorb everything. So it's almost like God blesses me with a burden. So a burden is a heavy thing, and we don't carry our burdens. We're supposed to carry each other's burdens, and ultimately, His burden is light, His yoke is easy. So we cast our cares and our burdens unto Him. But sometimes God will bless us with a burden, because what good is a song, or when you write, there's no passion behind it, and a lot of the passion comes from a burden, comes from a there's no way you can actually do something without passion. You have no conviction behind it. There's no burden you're carrying. There's no heaviness. You know what I mean? Like when you write a song about suicide, or when you write a song about gang violence, unless you've actually experienced, or if you're just seeing it from afar, your passion isn't going to be that. You're not going to be that driven to really, really go forward into that culture or go and really make a difference in that culture, because maybe you just don't understand that culture, so you fear it. But for me, I'm in it. Like, I'm connecting with gang members every day. I'm reaching out to suicidal youth all the time, or they're reaching out to me. So I carry that burden with them, and so I put that in my music because I want to help prevent, or I want to help. At the same time, I don't want to preach at them and tell them that
Right.
they're not people, or they're not human because of what they're doing. I sat down with this guy that I was telling. I won't say his name, but I've been mentoring him, indirectly in the last couple of weeks, and I told him to his face. I said, because you're a gang member, that's not who you are. I said, that's your circumstance. I said, who you are, God is revealing to who you are. The man that you are, to God has a plan for your life. And God is showing you, and it's unveiling, like He's unveiling everything to you. But because of who you are in your past, don't allow that to determine who you are as a person. Being a gangster is just a circumstance because of the way you grew up. You know what I'm saying? That's not your identity. So carrying those burdens and writing the music I do is heavy at times. So it's not easy in the sense of knowing that there's people, real people behind it that I'm making the music about. But then on the other side of it, there are times when it just flows, and it's a beautiful place. Like when I write a worship song, to me in my heart, it's worship, and God knows my heart. So like I tell people a lot, if I could sing, which I'm starting to do a lot more now, but before my singing was horrible, and but I always wanted to sing. So I said this is my only way I could sing. This is how I worship God, because I don't know how to sing like everybody else. So this is the only way I can convey my heart to God. And a lot of my music was written to God, and allowing everybody else just to hear and to listen to the conversation. You know what I'm saying? And that's what prayer is. It's just having a conversation with God. You know what I mean? Like, and so yeah, it does flow easy at times, and that easy is just the times when the burden's lifted, and I'll say, okay, God say, okay, let's lift this off now. Let's worship. Let's write some worship, and and it just flows. And it's a beautiful place. Like, I love finishing a worship song. It just feels like it's well with my soul. I'm like, man, that felt so good. I just want to live in that place. You know what I mean? But then
And
there are
I
other
think.
times where I write songs. Go ahead, bro.
Oh, my bad. I think from a faith perspective too, I taught myself to not work with pressure. I don't feel pressure at all,
Yeah.
because I do believe His word never returns void. So if as long as I am uh, bringing this from that perspective, and making sure that I'm trusting God with it, and I'm writing from that perspective, there's no pressure on me, because he decided long before I ever even thought to write the song who was going to hear it and need it, and so
Mm,
again, my job is just to get you to press play and move. I don't have to do any of the other stuff, man. And that's what happens to a lot of us in all kinds of different types of ministries. We take on too much. We ain't supposed to do all that. That was never your job. You're an ambassador.
mm.
That's it. You're the promoter, right? You're the opener. Go open the show. Do your job. Get your little half hour in on the stage and go sit down somewhere so God can come in and headline this thing and get us some trophies.
Yeah.
And by that I mean save some lives.
Yeah.
you
Gotta
know,
be
Thank God for
and
careful.
show.
it's really that simple.
Yeah. Agree.
So I just had the "If you wanna steal my show" in my head.
Right?
I'm saying that song. I don't know. So challenges.
Mhm.
Sorry, running in my voice. Thinking of challenges now. When it comes to creating for a cause, what are some challenges that you may have encountered, and how
Yeah.
do you deal with those challenges, if there are any challenges?
Mine's quick.
Go ahead, Theo.
Challenges for me are expected, because I feel like we're talking about topics that people don't want to talk about anyway. So they're going to be controversial, and they're going to have, responses and back and forth. I'm good with that. And how I deal with it is that, I'm in control of whether or not I want to answer my phone. Right? Fresh will tell you, some days I just don't. I can control that. And so I have full control over what gets to me if I want to keep it from me in that way. But I don't do that because I think I'm here for that, right? Like if I'm going to write that song, then I want you to give me your opinion or your response to it if it's something that is a tough topic. Or most causes that we would create for would need us to actually take on some tough topics inside of those causes. And so comes with territory. So deal with it and make a couple happy songs, throw them on your album too, so you can dance and then get on with it, because that's what you're actually here for. God brought us here to save the world, not impress it or entertain it. We're here to actually move it and change it. And so we use our gift to do that. I'm really real about, and I tell people all the time, they laugh at me, but I say it, man. Like I'm after the exact same target market as Drake every day. I'm chasing the exact same people, so I got to show up every day because, what he's showing them looks a little different, right? It's a little flashier. It's got some cash attached to it and so on and so on. And I'm offering you Jesus, which I know is a much better thing for you, but you can't see it, and so, yeah, I don't, I land there every time. That's kind of my land point on that. It's supposed to be tough because it's tough stuff, man, and it's stuff people are dealing with and having to work through, and we're just holding ourselves and the people around us and the issues around us to account, but we're trying to do it from a faith perspective and in Jesus' name. And if that's the case and that ruffles anybody, I'm not necessarily answering to you, and I'm really, I have a lot more fear and respect for the person I do have to answer to if I don't do my job properly. So I'm gonna just go ahead and handle that, and I'll leave that to other people to decide how they feel about it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that maybe the confrontation might be because somebody else is due to somebody else causing it. That's why it's called a cause. Like, we'll have confrontation.
I'm just doing what I was told.
Yeah.
I was just doing what I was told. God told me to write this song today.
Exactly.
All right, and then I'm out of the way.
You got to do your part. I get it.
I always tell people, be mad at who you're mad at. It's not me. It's not me. If you're mad at something, be mad at that. Don't take it at me.
Fresh, how about you? How about you?
Challenges.
Fresh?
I think it's it's the what's the word I'm looking for? I'm driven to, like I said, the same thing that you guys want to achieve too is to broaden the industry here in Canada for Christian music. You know what I'm saying? And just, you know what I mean? Like, what is God saying for us as a whole, not just for the black church or the white church or the native church or but what is God saying to us as a nation today? And, how can we as an industry, be better, to really connect everything, from coast to coast and make it strong so that we don't have to go south of the border to be successful. We can support each other and, make a good living and at the same time as fulfill God's purpose and ministry here. And that's what I really want to see, like even just hearing my song on the radio all over now, it was a blessing, not just to hear it, but to know that, okay, I'm actually helping that too by doing that, because people know what I stand for in terms of my music style, but yet they know that I have the heart of worship as well. So that now that my music is starting to get played a little bit more on radio, that'll open the door for other artists who have the same passion as me to do the same, and the door that door will be open for them because we kept knocking and it got open. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's been a challenge for a long time. People even say like, man, how is Christian radio not playing you? You got nominated for Grammys, and like, how are they not supporting you? You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And it's like, I know. I said I got nominated for a Grammy before I even had a music video. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't even on the radio and I got nominated for a Grammy. I was on secular radio before I was even on Christian radio. And so, that's the big challenge. And I'm not saying it to complain or to point fingers at nobody. I just think that we all have work to do in that area, and the brave ones like us, that will be able to open up those forums and those conversations and not worry about being judged. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, no, I'm 100% with him on that too. Like just making sure that
Yeah.
we're mindful of that. That we're actually storming through a door right now, in a good way.
Yeah.
And creating a path, like kind of like the path that Fresh already started to create for artists like myself. He's kind of brought me along with him and taught me those values, so that now he's got a partner, and not just me. There's a few people, but he's got a partner now that he can count on, a teammate that he can count on, that has the exact same mandate as that. Like we need to make sure that we got some talented artists, man, that are leaving the church because they don't feel supported with their talent, and we have the means to kind of fix that for them. Right? Because we're what's cool, and I'll say this, part of it's because we're making really, really, really good music. So you can't,
Mhm.
like, even if you don't want to hear Jesus, you still got to play the song because it's good music. Right? And that's kind of what I want to
Quality.
present to people: make good music, right?
Just do it.
Yeah, no, that's true, and you're right. It's you speak our heart, right? You're just speaking our
Yeah,
heart,
exactly.
and yeah, I agree. We have to band together. This is not working individually and separately to try and get the same goal. We're all on the same page. Let's work together on this, and let's
Yeah.
build the bridge. Let's build the bridge, right?
Exactly.
So
The Kairos. The Kairos.
Yeah, the Kairos. Yeah,
yes, yes.
totally.
Finally, I
I'm
just
here
want to
for
ask.
it.
What's that?
I said I'm here
Say
for
that
it.
again.
Let's do it.
That's what
That's what
you're
we're here
here
for.
I
for.
said,
Exactly.
Hey, that's
yeah,
what we're
let's
here
do
for
it.
too, man.
Yeah,
That's how we do
exactly. On the
this.
same
Almost,
page.
almost every week we're doing this
Exactly.
I love it. I love
because
it. I love it.
because because the same things that you're seeing are the same things we're seeing.
Absolutely.
Like we
Right.
we see the same thing. There's artists that they're writing music. I mean, I encountered like I've heard some names here, even we're in Ontario, and I even spoke to an artist recently. I said, I hear your name, but I don't know your music. So I actually went to look for your music. And then I heard that I saw a video. I was like, wow, this is awesome. This guy must be on CCLI. So I went to
Right.
CCLI to find his music. And guess what? It wasn't there. Right. And I sat there and went, why isn't there? you know, and and he sat there and went, I had a conversation with him. He said, I'm trying to get it there. you know. And I said, you know what? And the thing is, he confessed, and he's not the only one. He actually confessed that he didn't know what to do
Mm.
and what
And a
was
lot of people don't.
required.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Fresh is just
Right.
teaching me that now, some of it.
But it's this the creative mindset is where the people are at. The administration type of side of it and all that other stuff is so far for them to reach. And it's something Cheryl and I've been
Yeah.
talking about. So we really want to try and help the community to realize their expectations.
So
Mhm.
we're doing the same
Yeah.
thing and we're
I love
banding
it.
together. So there you go. Fresh, we're together. I'm giving you a fist
Yeah.
pump.
The fist pump. Let's go.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Come on now. Okay. Finally, what advice? Okay, before I know I could say we've gone on long, but we really need to chat about all of this. And
Yep.
what are some final words that you want to share to some artists that are maybe watching, whether they're watching here live or whether they're going to watch this later on in the week or in the month? What advice would you give them if they wanted to use their creativity for something that's near and dear to their heart?
Mhm. I'd say do it. Like it's really, I wouldn't complicate it more than that. Like if you feel like it's itching you to actually jump, that's happening for a reason. Jump into it. Like actually do it. And the one thing that I was sharing with a young basketball player, I coach youth basketball, and I had a great player, and we were sitting on the bench, and I told him, I'm gonna do this thing for you. I want you to be the one to actually shoot the ball or whatever, right? And he gives me the look like, Coach, I don't know. I don't listen. 100 people wanted to be on this team, and I picked 11. You're supposed to be here, right? You're supposed to be here. You're set apart for this. You are in this moment because it's the one for you. Listen, if you are creative and the moment hits you, and the cause is there. It's something that you believe in. It doesn't have to be something that interests any of us. If you're passionate about it, and it's a cause that is huge for you, and you can help people with what you bring to the table, do it. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Look, 180.com. Hit me up if you need some help. I'll help you as best I can. If nothing else, I will keep telling you 17 times to just go do it. But do it. That's my advice to young people, because that's the one thing. Every time I'm talking to a young person right now, I feel like I'll tell them, oh, you want to do that? Do it. And then all the questions start. And I'm like, listen, if it's of God, I don't know the answers to those questions. I don't know what his route is for you. Right? Because mine wasn't the same as Fresh's, and his wasn't the same as, I don't know what your route is. But I can promise you that if God has put it on your heart that this is what you're supposed to be doing, you're supposed to be doing it. So just go. And we'll figure out the rest together. Because like you, I'm here for you. I'll help you with the admin stuff or the other stuff that I'm learning now, like I'll help you with all of that. I'm not here to withhold information, but you got to go. If you're not going to go, then what's the point of having the info even, right? So that's my thing. Just do it. Just go. If God's called you to, just go. Like walk on the water, see what happens.
Right.
Awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's so true.
Fresh, any
Mhm.
thoughts?
I would just say, have the right people around you, business wise. Have a good business setup. In terms of like when you guys talk about administrative, and when you're getting into music, it's as a business or as a living, it's different than just your talent. There's so many different aspects to how that's set up, right? So, but in terms of your artistry and your gift, make sure that you have a foundation before you go out into the field and start really going hard, or else you're going to sink. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's important to have a good foundation. So, take that time to establish that relationship with God, and so that you know when to go and when not to go, and not every door that's open we shouldn't go through, just because the door opens. So, I would say just get a good foundation, and then that being said, like, saying that might not come across like they may not understand what that really means as a young artist. Um, but to make it simple is just put Jesus number one in your ministry. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you, in your music, and in your, and know your purpose, what the purpose for what God is using your music for. Because it's not the calling. Our call, like the call in our life, is to come out of darkness and into His light. That's the call on all of us. But the purpose, God has a different purpose for all of us, and we need to know what that purpose is and go and pursue that. Like, with everything we have, and there's going to be ups and downs. You're going to feel like quitting a lot. I get it almost like twice a year. I feel like I don't want to do it no more. And every time I do, like, I remember trying to retire at the GMAs one year, and I saw Paul Brandt in the front row, and that changed up real quick because Paul came up to me and asked me to do a song, and next thing you know, I came out of retirement in the same day. You know what I'm saying? So, like, God has a plan, and when we tell God our plans, it's like what they say: you want to make God laugh, tell Him your plans. It's like, you think you quitting, but you got a lot more music in you that I want to do. And then boom, I wrote one of the greatest albums of my discography that year. So, yeah.
I'm
And
I'm
that's
I'm heading to my third retirement here shortly, so
funny. Oh my God, I love it. This has been such a
I
great
say it. I've said it
conversation.
every time. My last three albums. Last three albums have been my
Great.
retirement album.
I've just enjoyed
Yeah.
spending time with you guys. I mean, the putting Christ first in all the ways of anything that a Christian should do. I agree totally, and it's very important as you approach your music ministry, an opportunity to do the thing that God, the creativity that God has placed in you, put Him first, and do the work. I mean, we're talking. That's what's been saying here:
Hmm.
authenticity. We're talking about doing the grunt work. It has to be done. But I can't help but the quote that just bangs in my head. Fresh IE. Sometimes it's like opening a water tap, and other times it's like a clogged toilet. That's when it comes to writing songs. And I just think that's like it's like, yeah, but it's the work behind the scenes. It's the prayer, the supplication, and it's the putting Christ first in order to make that music, give it purpose, give it meaning, and have you be authentic with that. I mean, this has been some fantastic conversations that we've had here. Really enjoyed this time together.
Awesome. And we're so glad that you, audience, have come and listened to this. I hope you got a lot out of this and was very, very encouraged. And if you have a creative bent inside of you and there's a cause, there's something there that you just want to express through your gifting, take their advice and just do it. Make sure you have the people around who are going to support you and guide you through it, and see what God's going to do through it as well.
Amen.
You know what? I almost rhymed. I almost did that.
Almost
did that. That's kind of cool.
You're a poet and you didn't know it.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm trying to stay quiet over here because my album's not done yet, and I don't want to have to give out no more features.
Oh my gosh. Well, Fresh and Tia, thank you so much for being with us again. It was so awesome having you. We'd love to have you on again. And we are looking forward, actually, to in a few months' time, what's going to be happening, because these guys, you've been hearing their heart about creating for a cause. Now, these guys, they don't joke. I mean, they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. And these guys are actually going to be touring across Canada in the next few months. Okay, and they're hitting all sorts. Like, I think we have your poster up. I hope we have it. And they're going to be touring right across Canada. And the good news is, come October, they're going to be with us.
That's right.
They are going to be with us.
It's going to be so cool. You guys check this out. You're not going to want to miss this.
Not
at
all.
Canadian tour, and they're coming here.
They're coming here October 31st, 2022. They're going to be with us. And you stay tuned with all the detail. We're going to provide all the details of just where you are. So we just wanted to give you the heads up that these guys are coming. And you know what? If you're a young artist and you want to see these guys up front, close, personal, you hear their hearts already. They're not afraid to meet with you. They're not afraid to mentor you on the spot. They're not afraid. So, we hope that if you want to know more, check us out at GMIHub.ca. Sign up to be a part of our community. We're going to be sending emails about the whole thing, and we'll keep you posted of what's going on. But anyway, so that was my little yay. I'm so excited. We're going to actually meet in person. Awesome.
We're looking forward to that.
Yeah, indeed. I want to emphasize connecting with us in the community, because we really, really want to join together as a people group, and the GMIHub.ca is the place to connect with us. So please do that. Just want to reiterate that, because we really want this community to grow, and you can be part of that.
Absolutely. And you can also follow us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So if you want
TikTok.
And TikTok, yes, of course. And on TikTok. So definitely feel free to follow us up. And, we want to connect with you. We want to, this is not a one-way conversation. Let it be a two-way. We'd love to hear from you. We're looking forward in a couple of weeks. And then now next week, I know we're having Canada Day and Independence Day. So, we're going to take a week off to relax a little bit and enjoy the fireworks. But you know what? The following week, we are going to be coming back strong, talking about investing in your calling and what your ministry is worth to you. What does it take to invest into your own calling and your own ministry? And then we're going to be talking about, the following weeks, Studio Talk is back. We'll be talking about compressors and gates. And then we have another exciting conversation that's going to come up on July 25th, which is, what is gospel music anyway? And I'm going to look forward to that conversation. But right now, I want to give you guys a chance to enjoy the rest of your evening. Fresh Tea, stay with us. But I want to let the audience go. Thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to connecting with you next time. God bless. Bye for now.
Bye.